Latest from Hurricane Michael, which continues to impose itself on the coast of Florida, the Panhandle region, and it is still a very ferocious storm, and rumours here and there that it's still intensifying. We'll find out exactly what it's doing in just a moment. My name's Nathan Foy. I'm here joining you from the UK, far away from any of these storms. 70 miles separates the eye of Michael from Panama City in Florida, and the storm is continuing to draw nearer at every hour. At the start of the last hour, it was something like 79 miles or something, so it's moved something like 9 or 10 miles in the last hour. To help us on this particular stream in this hour, I'm joined by Orlando and Devon. Good morning to you.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, we actually got recon updates right off the bat. NOAA 2 got through the center of the storm. They put down drop number 20 in the eye. We got 931 millibars in that drop with a 5-knot wind, so 930, which is in line with what the NHC said, 931, yeah. 930. However, recon mission also recorded 145-knot flight level winds.
Wow.
And an SFMR reading up to, I believe that is up to 125 knots.
So what are you saying?
Well, I'm saying that the storm is at least 145 miles an hour. It could even be 150 at this point.
Well, there we are. That's the latest. The storm's appearance, the northeastern side, just waning slightly in those frames, but it's sort of trying to come and go as we go along here. Is it anything to do with the land interaction, or is it something else?
Well, the western side seems to be doing just fine with the land, so I don't know if it is land interaction.
The National Hurricane Center put out their update a moment ago, the position update from 9 a.m. A private weather station at Bald Point, Florida, recently reported a sustained wind of 48 miles per hour and a wind gust of 59. The Apalachicola Airport recently reported a wind gust of 58. A weather flow station in St. Andrew Bay recently reported a sustained wind of 37 and a gust of 48. Water levels continue to rise quickly along the coast of the Florida Panhandle. A National Ocean Service water level station at Apalachicola recently reported over 4 feet of inundation above ground level already.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's terrible. And unfortunately, it's only expected to get worse.
And it's only going to get higher from here. Storm surges forecasted to be in excess of 15 feet in and around the immediate landfall area, which is very, very, very high. That's a story and a half wall of water coming.
Damn. Orlando, what are your thoughts at this hour?
It's a very scary situation, and anyone that's still on the islands off the coast of Panama City and along those areas, it's basically too late right now to evacuate, and your only other solutions are either to stay home and get ready, like grab a mattress and pillows, protect yourself, go into an area that does not have windows. And if you're lucky, and if you still have power and everything's still fine for the time being, find out if there's any shelter nearby or anything at all, because this is going to be a devastating storm and it's going to cause catastrophic damage.
Basically, anything that's in the radius of maximum winds in this storm is going to be leveled.
ATCF information showing Cyclone Titley in the Indian Ocean in the Bay of Bengal up to Category 2, 105 miles per hour, pressure 956.
Yeah, that storm's also getting its act together very quickly. It looks like the other one, Luban, is falling apart rather quickly, which is good news for Oman. But Titli is another rapidly developing system heading towards a very populated region of the coast of India.
Yeah, that's not good.
But
Uh,
right
it,
now, right now, Michael kind of has to be the priority because A, it is the stronger storm, and B, it also is the one that is closer to landfall. And that's just the unfortunate thing.
I'm
It
not
was
sure
the
it is
same thing.
actually, but it is certainly the strongest storm.
It was the same thing with Florence and Mancut. You know, Florence was just the closer one to landfall, so we had to pay a little bit more attention to Florence than we did with Mancut. That's just the way things have to go sometimes. You can't do two things at once.
yeah, it's just very busy. Like across the tropics itself, from India to the United States. It seems as though things are not looking very good for many people, and especially if they're unprepared and haven't gotten ready yet.
Yep.
Well, here's the deal then. No matter where you are around the world, if you've got any questions for us in this hour, start your message with Force 13. We'll do our utmost to answer your question in relation to whichever storm you're tracking. But of course, our main focus on our visuals, at least, remain with Michael for the time being. Any news from Recon? Are they still around the storm?
AF 301 data just came in. Probably still going to be another 10 minutes before we get a full pass from them. NOAA 2, I already said that what they're doing, and it looks like the AF 306 is returning to base.
Right. And just a reminder, the lowest pressure they've captured so far?
Lowest pressure that they've captured so far is 930 millibars.
But the NHC have gone with 931.
It's 930, 931, somewhere in there. It's a millibar difference.
So you saying it's at least 145 miles an hour? Any evidence that it's higher than that?
Now, 145 knot flight level winds. That would suggest 150 miles an hour on the ground. So that's the evidence right there. If we find flight level winds in excess of 150 knots, that's when we're gonna have to start considering that this storm might be a borderline Cat 5.
Let's just do a roundup of what's going on elsewhere right now. This is the track forecast for Cyclone Luban, which is moving towards the Arabian Peninsula. Could give tropical storm force winds to Salalah in the southern part of Oman. That was hit by another cyclone earlier on this year, Mekunu, back in May. That is now a Category 1. That could intensify further over the next 24 to 48 hours, but we expect now landfall will be in Yemen. Cyclone Titli is the one that's now a Category 2. This is 105 miles per hour, 956 millibars, and it's looking like it's going to make landfall on India very soon, although maybe signs of it stalling in those latest frames. Now that is probably going to be delivering a huge amount of rain over the coast of India, and we know what that means for that particular region when things like this happen.
Yep. And it's a very disaster prone area, and it's not looking good for India either.
There's Michael, another look on the satellite imagery. This is Hurricane Leslie, still a hurricane according to the latest ATCF information. National Hurricane Center will probably follow suit. 75 miles per hour, pressure around 980. We'll take a look at the track shortly. This is Tropical Storm Sergio, now down to 65 miles per hour on the latest ATCF. That doesn't look too far-fetched, because it really isn't looking very good. It looks like half a hurricane now. Sergio weakening. Tropical storm watches out there in the Baja California Peninsula. Here's the track map for Hurricane Michael as it stands right now. We're expecting landfall in the afternoon hours still. Something like 2-3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, it's not looking very good because the storm is still intensifying, and that still gives enough time for the winds to catch up to the pressure and probably bring it up to 155.
I was actually just about to point out that the storm is building to the north and east. On the northeast quadrant, the convection's starting to build back up.
And indeed, according to that forecast cone, hurricane force winds could be seen halfway through Georgia as well.
That is definitely a potential. Hopefully, it is expected to weaken very rapidly going into land, but it is a potential that parts of southeastern Alabama and southwestern Georgia could receive hurricane force winds. Absolutely.
And to remain a tropical storm until it exits the US coast near Virginia, that means the Carolinas will get hit by this again.
Yeah, they're expecting 6 to 10 inches of rain from this storm. So they don't need it. That's for certain. They absolutely don't need any more rain.
Here's the track forecast for Hurricane Leslie. National Hurricane Center now on board with what some of the models were earlier saying, the U-turn, short of the Canary Islands and Madeira, and then moving back towards the southwest or west.
Yep.
I believe Michael said in the chat that his power went out. So
Michael's power just went out. That's near Tampa as well. So that's quite some distance away from the storm.
He says very heavy rainfall is currently occurring in Tampa. Okay.
There's the track for Sergio. Those tropical storm watches there. And these are the wind speed probabilities for both Michael and Leslie. If you're living in the Carolinas, you'll see there pretty high chances in South Carolina, less so in North Carolina, but rain will be the biggest threat there, no doubt.
Rain's going to be the biggest threat once the storm gets there.
Estimated time of arrival for tropical storm force winds. It should have arrived already along the coastline and penetrating inland now, probably into Georgia by the early afternoon. By the evening, it could end up entering South Carolina, the tropical storm force winds. All right, let's continue. Models pretty assured. Go ahead.
Should say hurricane force winds should be coming ashore soon if they haven't already for Florida.
And there's another look at the picture right now. Additionally, this one may have taken you by surprise as well. Nadine, according to ATCF, up to 65 miles per hour.
Nadine? I thought that was dead.
Well, it's not going to live a very long life.
It wasn't even on ships.
But it's now apparently up to 65 miles per hour. We'll wait for the National Hurricane Center to confirm that at the top of the next hour, which I won't be here for, sadly. But that could be potentially another hurricane there, although it isn't affecting land. Let's go back to the latest imagery of Michael. This is radar. A 90-minute loop showing how the storm's been progressing over that time period. I swear it's slowing down a little bit.
that's not good if it is. But only time will tell.
I did calculate earlier that in the last hour it moved about 11 miles down from 12 the previous hour.
Well, I wonder how much it's moved so far.
And that northeastern side continues to just look better as time goes on the satellite.
Let's take a look again at the latest infrared imagery here, which is what we often use to assess the storm's intensity. Never use visible for estimating intensity.
That's for sure.
I think
And
there's stadium effect developing.
Latest eye
And-
temperature doesn't look quite as hot. It is still 17 actually. Plus 17 degrees.
and I'm just waiting for the AF301 data to come through at this point. I don't see any storm reports through the Storm Prediction Center.
I'm not sure if they issued any severe weather warnings or anything like
There is a tornado watch.
that. Ah, that's not good.
I can go over that really quick.
It looks like
tornado
now
watch.
the Ghost 16 satellite is running 30-second imagery, by the way.
Oh,
Wow.
that's good.
But anyways, we have tornado watch 406 for Florida, for North Florida, for the North Florida and Peninsula, Southwest Georgia, and coastal waters. And this is pretty much the outer bands of Michael will continue to spread inland through the morning with an increasing risk of tornadoes in the stronger cells. The tornado watch area is approximately along and 75 statute miles either side of a line from 25 miles west of Panama, Florida, to 35 miles northeast of Cross City, Florida. For a complete depiction of the watch, see the associated watch outline update. A tornado watch means conditions are favorable for tornadoes and severe thunderstorms in and close to the watch area. Persons in these areas should be on the lookout for threatening weather conditions and listen for the latest statements and possible warnings.
Let's detail what flood warnings we have in effect right now. A lot of them have been in effect for a long time. Suwannee River at Fowler Bluff affecting Dixie and Levy counties. Flood warning. What we're expecting here. They're expecting flood stage late this afternoon and to continue to rise to 6.4 feet by this evening. That's 1.4 feet above flood stage. The Choctawhatchee River near Bruce affecting Walton and Washington counties, also under a flood warning. The stage was 7.3 feet early this morning. Flood stage is 14 feet and they expect it to get to 16.5 on Saturday morning. The same river at Newton affecting Dale County, the Choctawhatchee River. Flood warning there as well. The flood stage is 19 feet. They're expecting 19.7 by tomorrow afternoon. The Chipola River near Ultha affecting Calhoun County. They're expecting the flood stage is 22 feet. They're expecting 27.9 by Friday evening. The St. Mark's River near Newport on Old Magnolia Road affecting Leon and Wakulla counties. Flood stage is 8 feet. They're expecting 9.2. The Chipola River near Alpha, that was already read out. I think they're just putting it all together here. Ocklawakanee River near Thomasville affecting Grady and Thomas counties, and at Concord affecting Gadsden and Leon counties. The flood stage is 15 feet. They're expecting 19.3 by Friday evening. And finally, I think that is pretty much... Hold on a minute. I have to read as I talk here. That's the same river as well, although it says something else now. Flood warning for the Ocklawakanee River near Concord. Flood stage is 36 feet. They're expecting 36.2 by Friday evening.
Alrighty, recon information has just come through for AF301. The extrapolated pressures are down to 925 millibars, and flight level winds in the southwestern quadrant up to 135 knots.
Up
And I
to
believe that's the weakest
135 knots. So
quadrant.
that's higher than before, is it?
145 in the southeastern quadrant was
So I
what
wonder
NOAA
what
2
the
got.
northeast would
Which
look
quadrant
like.
was this in?
Southwestern.
Ah,
So the weakest one.
the weakest ones, yes.
That's not good.
We're gonna have to wait another 10 minutes or so to get the northeastern quadrant and see what that says. That's probably going to be the most telling of the strength of this storm.
Well, just like us, I guess you'll be staying here and waiting to find out.
Yep. And
So-
it's scary.
What would you make of the data that we've received so far?
Well, I think that there's a sufficient enough information to put this up to 150 miles an hour.
Hmm.
Considering that we've gotten a pass in not the strongest quadrant of the storm that got 145 knot flight level winds. So I think that would be sufficient enough to put it up to 150. And again, with the extrapolated pressures down to 925, the drop's probably going to come back 928-ish. 928, 929.
It's getting to be like
And-
Opal.
Well, Opal was 916. So it's got a long way to go to get to Opal.
And not enough time, probably.
And yep.
Could you, I mean, some people will be confused when they hear 916 yet category 4. How did that happen and how is this happening?
What?
As in, you know, the pressure, they would think 916, that's a really low pressure for a category 4. How is
Yeah.
that the case with that storm and possibly with this storm?
Well, Opal was an extremely large storm. One of the largest in Gulf of Mexico history. And so it was able to be very deep but not have the Category 5 winds with it. Michael is a very small storm, so 920's millibar pressure is indicative of a borderline Category 5.
Yeah, and we think about more storms here. You know, we've already compared it to, well, we talked about how it compares to Andrew, and that was 922. And that was a bit smaller than this you mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Continuing to head ever nearer to land, according to the latest of our position estimates here at Force 13 HQ, it's now, I think it's 64 miles from Panama City, and that number just ticks down every hour, ominously. If you do have any... Mhm.
About 4 or 5 minutes away from getting the recon data.
If you do have any questions for us whilst we're on the air, do send in your messages. I'm here until the end of the hour, until I have to leave. And Devon, you're picking it up at midday, or are you doing it
Yep.
earlier now?
No, I'm still going to be taking a 1-hour break after
Yep.
this because I need to configure everything.
So that means we'll all be taking an hour break here on Force 13 Live.
Yep.
And because of how all this stuff works, we have to actually terminate the stream at the end of the hour so that Devon can pick it up again at midday. Because I'm not here to man the thing. I'm very, disappointed that I'm not available for a large part of today. It just worked out that the schedule ended up like that.
Sometimes it happens. It isn't your fault.
But as I often say, I feel that we do our best before the storm strikes. I really hope that we've done as good a job as we can to inform people of the risks associated with this storm before it struck, rather than telling
Yes.
people what's actually happening as it strikes, which is, I mean,
Pretty much what we're doing
I
now.
guess it's more visually appealing, but it's not really as useful to people on the ground necessarily.
Well, it's useful for people that are currently
It
living
is.
in Chicago, Illinois, and they have their aunt living in
Well, that's
Panama
also true,
City,
yeah.
and it's useful for those people at the very least. But yeah, not very useful for people that are currently getting battered by the storm, that's for certain.
And usually it's to bring even worse news, like a tornado warning, but we've not had
Right.
anything like that yet.
Or a flash flood emergency while major hurricane force winds are occurring, which we've seen before on these streams. We saw it. We've seen the tornado warnings with Florence.
Yeah.
We've seen the flash flood emergencies in Jacksonville
Yep.
during Irma and Matthew, both of them. So we've seen them both. Not a good scenario, no matter what. And the water levels are still going to rise another 10 feet at least in the landfall area.
Yeah, already 4 feet of storm surge in the Apalachicola region, and they are expecting another 10 from Tyndall Air Force Base, was it?
I
Let me
believe
just
so.
go and get that information again. They're expecting 9 to 14 feet from Tyndall Air Force Base to Orcilla River. Now, I don't know exactly where that is, but I expect it's somewhere maybe in the Apalachicola region.
Yeah, that's where the maximum surge is going to be.
Yeah, it's not a good situation at all in that area. And unfortunately, it's going to be worse even for a small storm like this. It's packing a big punch.
And, well, we just got the information through the northeastern eye wall. Maybe it's not the strongest part of the storm.
Really?
Flight level winds 125 knots. Yeah. Maybe the satellite is right and the northeastern side is absolutely the weakest, which is absolutely counterintuitive to everything that anybody knows about hurricanes ever.
Well, it must be the proximity to land and the storm's not particularly quick movement.
That's what I'm imagining, but still, recon saying that the northeastern quadrant might actually be the weakest of the four.
So, maybe sounding like the ever optimist here, does that mean the chances of Category 5 have been almost eliminated by that?
We're going to have to sample the northwest and southeastern quadrants still, because, like I said, 145 knot flight level winds in the southeastern quadrant. It could very well continue to increase there because that's where the strongest convection is right now.
So the storm continues to press on, and given its movement of maybe about 11 miles per hour, 64 miles to Panama City, so just less than another 6 hours by its current motion.
Yeah, I'm expecting the landfall to be about 5 Eastern.
You think it's going to be as late as that?
Well, that would be another 6 hours from now.
Well, I'll be back for that, so that would be helpful. But obviously,
I think you're going to be coming back as soon as the ice starts to go over.
pretty much.
Or, yeah, pretty much as soon as the ice starts to come over land is when you're going to be coming back.
So, all of those areas have been evacuated, or, well, they've been told to evacuate.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of population in there. Do we know that they all got out in time?
The only people that'll know are emergency management. Obviously, not everybody is gone. There's always going to be people too stubborn to leave. And unfortunately, That is the wrong decision to make in the storm. Absolutely the wrong decision to make. If you are in the Panama City area and you actually are able to be listening into this broadcast right now,
Yeah, it would surprise
what
me.
I suggest you do right now, and at least for the next 6 hours, is hopefully you're far enough away that you're not going to get affected by floodwaters. But what I suggest you do is you go into an interior room, a closet, a bathroom, something sturdy. Try to get a blanket, a mattress, something over you and your family, and just ride this storm out. I wouldn't even want to be in the living room with this storm. Get into an interior room, get something to cover your head, cover everyone else's head, like a mattress, and just ride this storm out because it's going to be a very, very, very rough ride.
Now, the surge expected in the Panama City region would be, well, it depends exactly where. Along those very coastal areas, the barrier islands, you could be looking at 6 to 9 feet. In Panama City itself and surrounding areas, maybe 3 to 6 feet there.
Yep. And that mainly has to do with where the storm is right now. If the eye goes directly over Panama City, obviously the storm surge isn't going to be maximized. If it moves to the west of Panama City, that's going to be a huge problem. Because that means that Panama City will get the worst of it.
Damn. But as it stands right now, you would say that, I mean, I'm just trying to get an idea of the terrain profile of that area.
Flat.
Yeah. So you would
Just
say
very,
that,
very flat.
so you would say that most of Panama City might be submerged by a few feet.
Hopefully not, but it is very much the case that there will be a lot of water inundation, and it would not surprise me to see a catastrophic storm surge in coastal areas. Absolutely catastrophic flooding in coastal areas, and on top of that, 150-mile-an-hour winds plus.
Hmm. And the places that were probably more concerning are the smaller areas to the southeast, Mexico Beach, onto Port St. Joe, Apalachicola.
And the infrastructure's not good in these areas either. The infrastructure's just not good at all.
Just to give you an idea of the latest storm's position in relation to some of those other locations, let me just see if I can get another position estimate right now so I can relay the latest information. That'll just take a minute. Just making sure I've got this right. Okay, so the latest I have here right now is that the storm is 47 miles from Cape San Blas, and there's some small populations along that area as well, I should add. They probably shouldn't be there anymore. They should evacuate from there. Port St. Joe, 55 miles. Apalachicola, 69. Panama City, 61 now. 61 miles.
It's just drawing ever so closer.
Destin, 78. Fort Walton Beach, 82. Pensacola, 104. Tallahassee, that is 130 miles away.
And all that, Destin, Pensacola, that's all to the west of the storm.
Yeah.
All right.
The central core of the eye wall, though, there, Devon, is drawing nearer. And when do you think that will strike? Maybe 3 hours' time?
Yeah, that's only a handful of hours away. That's going to get there about 2-3 hours before the eye does. And once that central core comes in, you're going to be talking about 115 mile per hour sustained winds for at least an hour. And that will level a lot of houses. Just no joke, that will level a lot of houses.
For those of us just joining us, that is the latest on Hurricane Michael. A reminder of everything else that's going on around the world at the minute. We have 4 hurricane strength storms active, including Michael. We also have Cyclone Luban, which is in the Arabian Sea, headed for the Arabian Peninsula. The southern tip of Oman could receive tropical storm force winds later on in the week, heading into the weekend. Salalah in particular, a vulnerable place after the category 3 Mekunu struck there earlier on in the year in May, but the storm is expected to make landfall further west now over the border in Yemen. Cyclone Titley continues to intensify and is now a category 2 with 105 mile an hour winds and a pressure of 956. It's looking like it's about to make landfall on the coast of India, the eastern coast there in the Bay of Bengal, and from what I saw in a model run ages ago, I haven't been able to look at it since because of everything else that's going on. Isn't it expected to turn towards the northeast? I think so. This is the latest image of Michael as we've been covering. There's Leslie, Hurricane Leslie as it still is. We expect the National Hurricane Center to go with 75 miles per hour and 980 millibars at the next update shortly. That should be out at any time actually. This is Sergio down to 65 miles per hour we believe. Tropical storm watch is in effect. And here's the track forecast for Michael. Showing you the forecast there. It's quite zoomed out because of the very long track, but you can still see it being a hurricane over central Georgia and tropical storm over the Carolinas, which will obviously deliver more misery over there. And this is the forecast track for Leslie. The U-turn is on. That storm is never ending and likely to remain a hurricane for the next 3 days. Now we're just looking out for the new information. Go ahead.
Well, this is interesting. They just put, it looks like that they did not get a drop zone in the eye of Michael on the latest pass, but they did get a drop into the northeastern eye wall, and the drop suggests maybe the instruments on the plane are malfunctioning a bit because the drop itself suggests 150 mile per hour sustained winds on the ground in the northeastern eye wall.
Holy. 150 miles per hour possible in that case.
Absolutely. Very easily. So that just came through.
How much do we trust drop zones? Are they accurate?
I would imagine that they would be more accurate than the SFMR reading on the plane because that's actually dropping through the storm and it's picking up the actual wind speed on the ground rather than inference from waves. But yeah. That's a pretty blatant observation of 150 mile an hour winds.
Damn. You're still watching Force 13 live. We're here for another 20 minutes, then we're taking an hour's intermission, and then Devon will be here with full coverage of Michael as it approaches land. If it still hasn't made landfall by about 4 p.m, hopefully I'll be back. My schedule is a total mess, I'm afraid, and I'm away for a large part of today. We're doing our best with the coverage. We're waiting for more updates from the National Hurricane Center when they put out their updates on the storms that they're presiding over. and we'll bring them to you as soon as they arrive. Do you think they'll change it, Michael?
No. No, I don't think they'll put it up to 150. I think they'll have it at 145,929.
Wow. Michael, are you there?
Yes.
Have you still got a power outage over there?
No, it's sort of a brownout now.
So what are the conditions like near Tampa?
Very much pouring rain. I'm surprised. I don't really see anything on the radar, but it's pouring rain over here, and the winds are a little strong. Probably I estimate 45 to 50 mile an hour gust.
But you don't think there's tropical storm sustained winds there?
I don't think so.
Any
I
signs
can't.
of
They're possible, but it's not confirmed.
any signs of flooding or anything?
Over if anyone's familiar, the north, I want to say northeastern side of Hillsborough County is experiencing flooding. Brandon area.
The northeastern side of where?
Hillsborough County, Florida, which
Right.
is Tampa Bay.
And if we look over there on the radar scope, you can see, yeah, a few showers moving through. It looks like the worst has passed you now. Would you say that's the case?
Yes, I would.
So the Tampa area there appears to have seen the worst of the storm, but there's still more rain coming in. And then as you go further north towards Cedar Key, a band just missed, but another rain shower coming through there, a significant cell perhaps. And then you get the rest of Cedar Key northwards, basically, which is really under threat right now. Let's see if we have any questions. Well, we've got some odd questions, like how much damage will it cause? I think that's insensitive to discuss.
Yeah,
And someone talking about being in a high building and whether that's safe. I would say no.
no, the high,
Planety.
well, I will say this. Those high buildings tend to have strong foundations. Would I stay high up in that building? No. I would get down to the lowest level, or at least the second lowest level that you can.
Yeah, it depends on the surge conditions, doesn't it?
Yeah, that does depend on the surge conditions, but I would try to get to the lowest safe level that you possibly can. Go into the hallway, away from any windows, and just try to protect yourself the best you can. But yeah, I would not suggest being anything above floor number 4 because the winds only get stronger as you go up.
Certainly. It's also worth noting that the hurricane warning extends quite far inland, Devon. The hurricane warning extends quite far inland.
Yeah, as it should.
But some people, you know, they look at the graphics and they look at the National Hurricane Center and they think it's just these coastal areas, but we do expect this to remain a hurricane into central and southern Georgia.
Yep, and with the possibility of southeastern Alabama as well, getting potentially hurricane force winds.
That's also true. And remaining a storm through the Carolinas.
Yeah, this is definitely not just going to be coastal impacts. Pretty much everywhere where this storm is going to pass over, 6 to 10 inches of rainfall expected.
More questions here. Will this storm continue to strengthen? We've been trying to answer that question. Is it still strengthening, Devon?
The pressure's still falling.
So
The pressure's still falling.
that's sort of a yes answer then. Are there any noticeable differences in impact from a strong Cat 4 and Category 5? Is another question we've received.
Well, I would go on there and I would say probably not much. It would go from, I would say, complete and total devastation to even more complete and total devastation.
Yeah. We've got an update on Leslie. It's the National Hurricane Center have gone with what we thought. 75 miles per hour, a pressure of 980. No watches or warnings. Enough said. Although they do expect a peak now of 90 in the next 36 hours before gradual weakening. Once the track updates, we will show it on the screen as well. We're waiting for more information from the other storms. The update on Sergio is out as well. No changes in the watches and warnings. A tropical storm watch is in effect for the west coast of the Baja California Peninsula from Punta Eugenia to Cabo San Lazaro. To repeat, from Punta Eugenia to Cabo San Lazaro. A tropical storm watch also in effect for the east coast of that peninsula from Bahia San Juan Bautista to San Evaristo. They could be upgraded to warnings later. They expect landfall at about 45 or 50 miles per hour. We're waiting on the update for Nadine and for Michael. Michael's update probably won't come out until right at the end of this hour. And as soon as we can get the latest track forecast up for those updates that we just told you about, we will show them on the screen. It does take a little while before they go.
Well, I just got an update from one of my family members, and I just realized that, yeah, they are staying in Panama City.
Wow.
They stayed in Panama City. And that was not a smart decision, to say the least.
Now, if we go by the what they say about Michael, with the hurricane force winds extending 40 miles northeast, so you could be seeing those land areas having hurricane force winds in the next hour.
Yeah, they'll be coming ashore very soon, and winds are already gusting to hurricane force.
Orlando?
I was just going to make a statement about that. Devin's family, some family members deciding to stay. If at this point, if you stayed in, like, I'll mention it again, as we already mentioned it multiple times during the live events and during discussions. If you decided to stay, it's too late to leave. In like areas that are along the beach and things like that. It's too late to evacuate. It's better off that you stay where you are and to hunker down if there's no shelters that are still available locally. Best thing to do is hunker down an area that's away from windows, and also keep in mind with the surge that that you have to be careful if water levels rising depending on where you are. But the best place to be is somewhere that's away from windows, and you could use pillows and mattresses for protection, because in storms like this of Category 4 intensity, they have a tendency to toss debris and things like that, and they could be very dangerous. So you need protection in this circumstance, and yeah, there's basically nothing much you could do with leaving. And best thing you could do now is just hunker down and try your best to stay safe.
We've got an updated cone for Sergio. It appears here. Not much change on that one. The update's also out for Nadine. They have gone with 65 miles per hour, a pressure of 997. They expect the storm will not get any stronger than it currently is, though.
Okay.
Just waiting for the Michael update, pretty much.
Yeah.
And we're not waiting for recon. NOAA 2 has to Orlando Air Force Base.
Well, because they're doing hourly updates, they'll probably do it right on the hour this time.
Yeah, right on the hour. But AF,
Maybe 5 minutes
AF301s, the AF301's not going to fly through the center again and within the next 10 minutes, so we're not going to get any new data.
We've also got the latest map for Leslie. That's the new updated cone from the National Hurricane Center. And goodness me, Monday now, it's still going to be a tropical storm at 40 miles per hour at that last dot there on the forecast track for Leslie, one of the weirdest tracks you will ever see in the Atlantic Ocean.
That is absolutely madness. That's what that is.
Update on Michael is out. Tropical storm warning has been issued for the coast of North Carolina from Surf City to Duck, including the Pamlico and Albemarle Sounds. A storm surge watch has been issued for the coast of North Carolina from Ocracoke Inlet to Duck. And a tropical storm watch for the Gulf Coast west of the Mississippi-Alabama border has been discontinued. They've gone with 145 miles per hour and a pressure of 928 at the update.
145, 928.
Yes.
Okay. Well, they went a millibar lower than what I was expecting, and like I said, they weren't going to update the winds. It's going to be interesting to see what they say in the discussion. I do not have this information yet.
It is out now on the National Hurricane Center, that's for sure. So that's the latest that we've got here. The National Hurricane Center update will show you the new track map as soon as it comes out as well.
Yeah, I'm still refreshing, and I'm not seeing anything other than forecast advisory number 15.
Could be a cache issue.
Even with that being said, it seems as though that the pressure is still falling and it's still going to be intensifying, probably up till landfall.
So this is a 928 millibar storm now, according to the National Hurricane Center.
Yep. That's about right.
And looking at those latest frames, it does still appear to be... Well, no, it's not really slowing down in those latest frames, actually. It just looked like it did for a little moment, and then it's back up to its speed again. So, looking at its current position, I'm just going to put down the numbers. Whilst I do that, Devon, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say that NHC says that flight level winds, SFMR, and Doppler radar wind data all support an intensity of 125 knots, according to
National Hurricane Center has
discussion.
updated.
Yes.
Yep, we've talked about this.
Alright, so as of right now, the storm is 57 miles now from Panama City.
And that's just going to creep ever so much. Every single hour, it's just going to get closer and closer. And
if we extrapolate its movement, though, Devon, I've been watching that closely as well. It won't go for Panama City. Looks like it would land at Mexico Beach.
Which is that to the west or east?
That's 21 miles to the southeast of Panama City.
Okay.
In between Panama City and Apalachicola, basically.
Okay. Well, that would mean that Panama City spared the worst of it, potentially.
Well, given the size of the eye, 21 miles away, probably won't be spared the worst, although it will be the northwestern eye wall.
That's why I mean it won't.
Okay.
They probably won't get the worst of the worst. They're still going to get major hurricane force winds, but they're not going to get the worst of the worst. So it's aiming for Apalachicola.
Somewhere in between that. If we were to draw a live cone, you'd probably started at Panama City and ended at Apalachicola.
Oh boy.
Well, I don't think there's much else for us to say whilst we're here. If we've got any quick questions, let's see if we can take any. What's its CDPS scale rating? I gave it a 7 earlier. That was based on an estimation of 155 miles per hour, though it might be a high-end 6. But you're saying 7 as well? Did you do your own?
Still 7.
Okay.
It's still 7.
How big is the storm compared to Florence? Pretty similar, isn't it?
Much smaller.
Smaller.
Yeah. Much smaller than Florence.
And what is the status of Titley? We've been talking about that once or twice during the stream. It is intensifying off the coast of India, a Category 2 now, likely to either make landfall or just stall off the coast by the looks of things, because it is is slowing down as it goes along there. But I think that's all we have for now. Devon, anything else for us? No?
I believe the governor of North Carolina was holding a conference supposedly over the storm. So.
All right. Okay, then listen up. This is what we're doing right now. We've got problems here at Force 13 HQ. I have to leave. That's so I can't continue the coverage here at HQ. So we're taking an hour's break. Bookmark the page, the Force 13 live stream, because it will be back up and running again in an hour's time, 12 p.m. Eastern. Devon's going to be running the stream, and hopefully he'll be able to hold out until I return home at about 3 or 4 p.m. Eastern time. We will try our best to keep up the coverage. We're certainly not abandoning you. But make sure you bookmark our live streaming page. I have it open on a tab somewhere, and magically in an hour's time you'll hear some more stuff going on as we start up the stream again. Devon, that sound good to you?
Yep, that's about right. So I'll be running till 4, and then if you're able to come back, then just end my stream and hand it back over to you.
Alright, Michael's on the way, 56 miles from Panama City and getting closer, and this is a storm that is going to be remembered for a while. I think we can already say that. It is a real threat, a big deal, more than pretty much any other storm that we've spoken about recently. It is a massive threat. We don't usually overstate things here, we usually understate them, so this is a big problem coming up, and we'll hopefully have more coverage later on. Devon's back at 12. That's all for now. Stay safe out there.
Fantastic. So now I